In this video, we will see how the features of ancient temples deepen our understanding of Genesis 1 and 2, and that will lead to a simple and powerful way to deepen our walk with God. In the times when the Bible was written, temples played a central role in nations and cultures. They were understood to be the centre from which a deity brought power, control, and order to the human world. And this is why the destruction of a temple was considered to be a cataclysmic event. In the ancient Near East, temple complexes could have some or all of the following 5 features: a ziggurat, which was a stairway for the deity to travel between heaven and earth; a main temple building, which was a residence or resting place for the deity; an image or idol that represented the deity; a garden which grew food for the deity and was sometimes fed to the image; and a spring over which the temple was sometimes built so a life-giving river flowed from the temple. In addition, from the ancient Near East, we have stories of the founding of a temple taking place over 7 days, the construction of a temple taking 7 days, and annual feasts for the rededication of a temple taking 7 days. With these features in mind, we will turn to Genesis chapters 1 and 2. But before we do that, I want to talk about a family tree. I'm not talking about a particular tree in the garden, but I am talking about when someone uses the term family tree to describe the network of relationships within their family. They are using the features of one well-known item, in this case a tree, to explain key features of a second item, the family. A similar thing happens in Genesis 1 and 2. The features of a temple are used to explain key features of creation. The first indication in Genesis 1 that the features of a temple are used to explain key features of creation are the 7 days of creation. Then there is the image. When creation was constructed, it was completed when an image, i.e. humans, were placed in the creation. Then God rested. This has the sense of God taking up residence in the world he has just created. We can see this from when Solomon's temple was being dedicated and he prayed, "Now arise, Lord God, and come to your resting place." A fourth connection in Genesis 1 is the creation of the greater and lesser lights on the 4th day. The word used for these lights is the same word that is used in Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers for the lamps that provided light in the tabernacle, which was a mobile temple. Genesis 1 says that one of the functions of these lights was to mark sacred times. When we move to Genesis 2, we zoom in on Eden and the garden, and we see 2 additional temple features. We see that God plants a garden to provide food for humans, who are the image, and there is also a life-giving river that flows from Eden to water the garden. These 6 connections demonstrate an intentional comparison between the features of temples and the features of creation. That means creation is a temple. Creation is a temple where God is present. Creation is a temple where humans are made in the image of God to reflect God's presence into the world. And the garden at the center of this creation temple is a sanctuary where humans are intended to have personal access to God and God's sustaining life. This means there is no sacred secular divide. Everything is sacred, and each human has incredible value and importance. Creation is more than just God's amazing handiwork. It is a temple, or in more contemporary terms, creation is a cathedral. And so we come to deepening our walk with God. When Jesus called the first disciples to follow him, he called them to learn from him and to become like him. The foundation that made that possible was being with him. This was so important that at the Great Commission, Jesus declared he would continue to be with them to the end of the age. It is the same for us. Being with God is the foundation for our discipleship. Down through the ages, Christians like Brother Lawrence and Frank Laubach have testified that developing a habitual conscious awareness of God's presence with them has transformed them. This practicing the presence of God can transform us as well, and this is where the Cathedral of Creation is so important. If you have ever had the opportunity to visit cathedrals, you may have found the size, scale, and quietness of the cathedrals, along with the light coming in through the stained glass windows, helps create an awareness of God's presence. Since all of creation is a cathedral, we need to practice letting creation have the same effect on us. Each time you go outside, deliberately see the heavens declaring the glory of God, as in Psalm 19. Remember Isaiah 6:3, which says the whole earth is full of God's glory. Look at a bird and remember that God's eyes are on the sparrow. Let yourself become aware of God's presence around you. While this can be harder to do in urban environments, cultivating a connection to God in the Cathedral of Creation will help you live more and more of your life in conscious awareness of God's presence with you. It is a simple but powerful habit you can practice today. The next video in this series will show how the theme of temple can help us understand the story of the Bible and specific passages within it. But in the meantime, here is a simple triangle that can help us remember 3 key aspects of temples. A temple is a connection between heaven and earth, it is a place where God takes up residence, and it has an image which represents God to the world. I pray that today you will connect with God in the Cathedral of Creation.